Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about one of the most incredible public health stories you'll ever hear, and it's a story that happened right here in India. This is more than just a medical lecture, it's about a nation's fight and eventual victory against a disease that has been feared for centuries. So let's get right into it. To really appreciate just how big of a deal this was, we have to go back in time, back to 1981. Look at this number, 57.6. That was the prevalence rate of leprosy in India. 57.6 cases for every 10,000 people. Just think about that for a second. It was an enormous public health crisis, affecting millions and millions of lives.
Okay, now let's jump forward to 2016. Look at that, 0.66, from almost 58 down to less than 1. I mean, that reduction is just staggering, almost unbelievable, isn't it? This is the miracle we're here to understand today.
So this is the big question, right? How does a country with the largest burden of leprosy in the entire world manage to pull something like this off? Well, I can tell you, it wasn't magic. It was pure science, a brilliant strategy, and a completely new way of treating the disease. Let's break down how it happened.
The main answer, the single most powerful weapon we had in this war, was something called MDT. That stands for multi-drug therapy. And believe me, this approach didn't just change the game in India, it changed it for the whole world.
So what exactly is this MDT? Well, the concept is actually quite simple, but it's genius. See, before, we were trying to fight the leprosy bacteria with just one drug at a time. And the bacteria, they're clever, they would eventually develop resistance. But with MDT, doctors started using a cocktail of different drugs all at once. It was a combined attack that the bacteria just couldn't defend against. It was incredibly effective.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The results just speak for themselves. The numbers are mind-boggling. Globally, the number of cases dropped from around 12 million to just 0.2 million. Right here in India, we cured over 13 million people. 13 million. And the number of new cases, it fell by more than 95%. And the best part was, the cure worked. Relapse rates were incredibly low. This was the raw power of MDT in action.
But, in medicine, the story is never quite so simple. It turns out that this incredibly powerful treatment, well, it could create its own set of problems. The very success of the drugs, the very thing that was curing the patient, could sometimes trigger some serious complications.
Just try to imagine this. The MDT is working perfectly. It's killing off millions and millions of leprosy bacilli all throughout the patient's body. But what happens to all that debris? What does the body do when it's suddenly faced with this mass death of an invading organism?
Well, the answer is that the body's own immune system, which has been fighting this quiet war for years, can suddenly just go haywire. It panics. It launches this massive, intense, inflammatory response to all the antigens being released by the dead bacteria. And we have a name for this. It's called a leper reaction.
Now, medically speaking, we classify this as a Jarisch-Herxheimer-type reaction. And it's a strange paradox, really. It's a sign that the treatment is working very well, but this immune storm, which we also call ENL, that's erythema nodosum leprosum, it can be absolutely awful for the patient. The cure itself is causing a whole new crisis.
And his symptoms can be really, really serious. The patient's skin lesions become incredibly inflamed. They get red, swollen, and extremely painful. New ones can just pop up out of nowhere. And on top of that, you have high fevers and this general feeling of being terribly sick. These reactions are not just a minor side effect. They can be genuinely dangerous.
Now, as future doctors, it's absolutely essential for you to understand that there are different kinds of these reactions. The ENL we've been talking about is one type, but there's another major one called a reversal reaction. It's a different mechanism, it can cause severe nerve pain and damage, and the treatments are different. Knowing how to tell them apart is critical for managing the patient correctly. So, okay, this immune storm hits your patient. What do? How do you get things under control? How do you calm down the patient's overactive immune system without stopping the treatment that's saving their life? Well, luckily, we have a very clear protocol for this.
The first line of defense often involves drugs like clofazimine, which have anti-inflammatory properties. But if the reaction is really severe, you bring out the big guns immediately, corticosteroids like prednisone. This is to quickly and powerfully suppress that inflammation. And of course, you provide supportive care, painkillers for the pain, medicine for the fever, to make the patient as comfortable as possible. But for the absolute most severe cases of ENL, doctors had another option, a much more powerful drug, but one that came with a very, very complicated and controversial past.
And that drug is thalidomide. Now, in this specific situation, thalidomide is a lifesaver. It is incredibly effective at what it does. It modulates the body's cytokine response. Basically, it tells the immune system's alarm bells to quiet down. For a patient suffering from a severe ENL reaction, this drug can work wonders.
But many of you probably already know the other side of this story. Thalidomide has a truly dark history. It was originally sold as a completely safe cure for morning sickness in pregnant women. But then the horrible truth came out. It was causing catastrophic birth defects. It was pulled from the market in shame. But years later, scientists rediscovered its incredible power, and it was carefully, very carefully, brought back under extremely strict rules. It's a remarkable story of medical redemption, actually.
So, you see how it all came together. We had the powerful cure of MDT, and we learned how to carefully manage its side effects. With this combination, India was able to march towards an unbelievable goal: eliminating leprosy as a major public health problem.
And here it is, the official declaration. By December of 2005, India had done it. We achieved the World Health Organization's target for elimination. This meant the prevalence rate had officially dropped below 1 case for 10,000 people. It was a truly historic moment for our country.
And let's end with this final amazing number. By March 2016, a total of 13.05 million people in India had been cured of leprosy with MDT. Just think of that. Every single one of those numbers is a life that was changed forever. A family saved from stigma. It's a real testament to the power of science and public health.
So the story of how India beat leprosy is more than just history. It's a blueprint. It shows us exactly what is possible when we combine scientific breakthroughs with a really determined, organized public health effort. And it leaves us with a very important question to think about. What is the next leprosy? What is the next great health challenge that we can and must overcome with this same spirit?